Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining and making hopefully a wise decision on how to spend 20 minutes of your time today. So as an introduction, my name's Richard Taylor. I'm the founding director of Green Lithium, and I'll be presenting today with my colleague Aimee Hill, who's head of supply chain at Green Lithium. Is there any words you want to say, Aimee, before I kick off into the presentation?
No, carry on. I'm sure I'll jump in at the end.
Fabulous. So I think, one thing is to say is, how much we enjoy the Battery Pub and how much we've enjoyed the Volta Foundation and what was done and how it really brings a community together. The chat roulette meetings there met some incredible people, and it's just amazing to see what, who the battery industries bring apart. So it's great to be able to today tell the story of the journey so far in how we're looking to build the UK's first lithium refinery. So let's look at the business need for this and ultimately the reason why we're building this. If I can just go to my next slide, there we go. So really, you can read the slides, but I'm going to narrate a bit more freely than that. It was really what happened, around 6 years ago. The Paris Agreement was signed, and it was said by 2030 that we weren't going to be manufacturing petrol or diesel cars. So this, for me, was a bit of a turning point. I previously to Green Lithium worked in the oil and gas industry, and I'd enjoyed a career there. I was originally a geologist, but it really taught me that commodities can really underpin world economies and really fuel the direction that the planet's going in. So when the Paris Agreement was signed, for me, it was writing on the wall that, the energy transition is happening, it is being taken seriously, and there will be a new adoption of a suite of critical minerals that until then hadn't really been utilized. So I was once told some advice from a sort of friend of mine's dad, who did very, very well in the city of London. And I said, go on, how did you do it? How did you build your empire, your organization? And he said, well, you've got two things. You're either the biggest or you're the first. And I'd heard that years before this. And I thought, you know what, the signing of the Paris Agreement as it is, the critical minerals that we're going to need that currently aren't there. I said, there's an amazing opportunity here to be the first, and with the first of building an emerging market, you don't have any legacy problems of having to follow anybody else's rules. You are part of creating the new rules that will set the tone for that supply chain and that market then for the next, say, 100 years. So that was the attraction of it. I then looked into it and realized that, really no work had particularly been done around critical minerals. And honing in on lithium, the Chinese market had it tied up. They had all the refineries in the world in China. It was being mined in Australia, sent to China, and that's it. No one had questioned that or anything. So as a geologist, my immediate look forward for this was has the UK or Europe got any resources that have previously been overlooked that now with this emerging market we can look to attract? So the first iteration of Green Lithium was definitely for us to look to see if we could source the materials. But in taking that journey, it made us realize that actually the problem isn't the sourcing. The real problem, if you want to make maximum impact on this supply chain, is refining. And so that's when we really focused on refining, building the correct team that's going to be able to deliver one of these refineries, so a delivery-based team, and do it in a place that we can do it with the most ESG-friendly credentials, the lowest carbon footprint, and do it also in a way that's going to deliver in a timely fashion the volumes of materials that we're going to need, because that's it really. We need, this opportunity is going to be here for the next 10 years, and then technologies will no doubt progress. So it's about making sure that the material that we need is there when we need it. And so we've been on this path now, as I say, for around 6 years, but building the delivery focused team on this for about the past 3. So we've got the problem, or as I like to call it, the opportunity. And that's that all the lithium is currently refined in China. It's done in a very carbon intensive way. And, you know, the demand is ever increasing. So this is just the European supply chain in figures, rather than just dreams as I'm sort of narrating it in. So there's a lot of demand. There's a hell of a lot of demand for lithium chemicals going into 2030. And currently there's no one refining lithium in Europe. So there is everything to play for with this. And also there's an emerging car industry that relies upon lithium refineries and the battery manufacturing supply chain to get itself match fit and up and running ASAP. So we are trying our best to do that at Green Lithium. So as I say, our solution through sort of looking at, you know, if we could mine it in the UK or Europe, realizing that actually for us to mine it here, we'd get the quality of just the geology that we've got means that it's a low quality lithium. The grade of lithium that you get from as in waldite in the UK and Europe isn't the same as what you get in Australia, which is in a spodumene, which is a feldspar-based mineral. So what we wanted to do was really just lean into the UK and Europe's strengths. I'm a big believer in strength theory, whether it's being a part of the Green Lithium team. I want people to lean into their strengths. You know, let's not make it hard for ourselves. Use a monkey to climb a tree and an elephant to tear the tree down. So we looked at the UK and Europe and said, what are we best set for? And historically, the UK and Europe has done an amazing job at chemical manufacture and processing. And so there was teams of people and hubs of places that we identified in the UK and Europe where potentially there would be an amazing place to host a low carbon lithium refinery, meaning that we can take the already producing material from Australia or other places of the world as it comes online and refine it in a centralized location in the UK or Europe and produce a low carbon lithium product that could go into all these electric vehicles and battery storage systems. So that's really the answer to what we perfected. Here's that exact business model. And to re-emphasize this even more, history repeats itself with these kind of things, as we know. And I think one of the best things that you can do is look back in history for the answers to the future. And it was actually J.D. Rockefeller. He went and the California when everything was kicking off in Spindletop and everyone was drilling for oils in California, he went out there too, and he tried to look for oil out there. And what he realized is that 90% of the people out there went to look for oil and 90% lost their shirts. And it was just, you know, not all of them would win. Whereas he saw the refiners, and at the point of there was 120 artisanal refiners there, all refining crude oil in that way. And he thought, these guys have got the right idea. They take a known product, so they don't have to take the risk of getting out of the ground. All they do is either accept or reject a product that is produced to them by the guys drilling it, and they take all the risk. So they take a known product, they perform a known process on it, and then produce a known commodity from that. And that's why, you know, I think that the business model of the refinery is such a great one, is that it's quite simply a sausage factory in that way. Input in, known process on it, input out, but it's just done with lithium. So we'll be producing 50,000 tons, which is the equivalent of about 1 million electric vehicles worth of lithium. It's still only around 6% of European 2030 demand. So we're going to need a lot more lithium. So this model will be replicable. Once we've done the first one, we do see it as an approach that we can then, we've got the development team ready to then go on, look at other sites and do it internationally in other locations too, because, you know, the demand is definitely there. So we have developed a couple of advantages, you know, in working in this area, and, you know, I'll go through them. The first one is we're a merchant refinery model. Therefore, we're not reliant on one specific mine. That means that we can have flexibility, and if there's geopolitical problems in an area of the world, we can switch mines. It also means that we can act as a hub for mines that maybe aren't big enough to have their own refineries. We can ship material, blended material in from lots of different mines, to be able to act as a centralized hub for this, which obviously is de-risks the project. Sorry, I'll just move this. Yeah, we are. Well, one of the first things that we did when we raised finance was to get a carbon life cycle assessment done of the project. We did this with Minvero, who's over on one of the other breakout rooms. But what this allowed us to do was look at the current situation. If we built the refinery today, where the main sources of carbon were within the process, and then it allowed us to build a business model around reducing those, reducing that carbon. So we think about that almost every day, of how we can further bring down that carbon footprint and the environmental impact of the refinery. So it's being called Green Lithium. It is a big target on your head. So we need to make sure that we are producing the greenest lithium from hard rock sources as possible. And because we are a refinery, there is an opportunity for us also to link into the recycling side of things, whether it be refining a product that comes out of the black mass into a lithium hydroxide or lithium carbonate that can then go back into batteries. There's also that opportunity there. But I think, you know, the biggest thing that we have that, you know, other organizations might not have in this area is a proven delivery focused team. From day, you know, almost, it took us a while to realize it, but once we realized that the only way we were going to build this refinery is to have people leading the teams that have built you know, multi-billion-pound UK energy infrastructure projects before, you know, not a banker, not a lawyer, but guys that have actually been program managers, being able to deliver this. And that's why we appointed Sean Sargent as our CEO several years back. And, you know, having that delivery focused approach has meant that we know every single step from, you know, the 1,000-point plan from where we are today to actually getting it built, what it's going to take, what kind of people are. So, and it also creates an amazing environment to work with, full of experts. So,
Richard, are you okay to take some questions just halfway through?
yeah, we can do some questions, no problem.
And we've got quite a few coming through. So just to clarify, the team are asking around different sources of raw material. I've clarified around lithium spodumene, but there also are questions around percentage of recycled lithium, the percentage of actual black mass material and recycled lithium that we would be using and planning for. I believe it's 20% right now, Richard. Do correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, no, I'd say you're right, Amy, but it's on the recycled side of things, there's a lot more scope and opportunity to be explored there. You know, we have got funds available that have been earmarked specifically for building out the recycling side, but you know, we won't be the ones tearing down the batteries, and you know, we will come along the stage. We probably won't be touching black mass. We'll be the stage after, but we need to be working
with yeah, an acceleration, because I have started is recycling these batteries, so we can deliver like lithium or carbonate or sulfur of lithium, and you will refine it and take it to the battery grade. So
yes, like
Yeah,
a
right?
lithium. Yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry, Richard.
no, that's the plan, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, and we've got another question around when you claim green, do you take into account carbon emissions of your suppliers? I can say definitely we do have limitations and questionnaires that go out to vendors before we approve them. We are definitely looking at their carbon emissions and their overall footprint as well. We like to understand our full supply chain.
Absolutely. Just to reinforce what Amy said there, when we're looking at a mine, potential supplier, that the main material, it's hugely important for us to have aligned values with them and to see that they've also got a roadmap in place to reduce their carbon over time, because ultimately this is where our scope 3 is reduced. It's through them. And so we want to be able to provide a more quality, low carbon product, and we can do that by leaning onto our suppliers to also do that. So absolutely, it's a big advantage of our, and it's something that we do seriously consider with all our suppliers. Any more questions there, or shall I just carry on?
Just one regarding the recycling part. You're doing this because you think that the government will regulate that the percentage of recycling lithium that a battery must have?
I mean, they might do at some point, Fran, but I've just come off a call with the UK government and in a critical minerals roundtable, and I would say that they might get to that point, but they wouldn't make that kind of statement today, because it might make the job of actually delivering batteries a bit too hard, because there isn't that much recycled material in circulation at the moment. So I would definitely advocate for that. And I would really love that to be the case, that they put quotas on how much recycled materials they are. But I think they want to have something walk before it can run. And it's going to take a bit of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money for us to get the recycling plants up and running, and get that material into circulation. So I think it'll come, but a few years away maybe.
Okay, but you can keep on, and then maybe I have another question. But you go on.
No worries. So one of the most exciting things I've realised in building and being part of this journey is location of where you put one of these refineries is key to how low you can drive the carbon, and how much of a better business model you can make it. So ultimately, we want to be having a refinery that's got the lowest OPEX and the lowest carbon footprint, so that ultimately we can survive when the market's tough. We can take advantage of other situations where companies aren't as good at managing their finances, and we can take market share from them and that kind of thing. I mean, that's just how it works. But also the biggest thing is how green we can get it. And there's a lot of places in Europe and the UK that you would think, oh, that'd be a fine place to put a lithium refinery, and then you go. The site selection for us was a huge piece of work, because there are that many things that can contribute to driving down the carbon and driving an effective plant. And obviously, one of these things is it's a £1 billion investment. So you want to put it in the right place, and you want it to be the right place for the next 100 years, realistically, because so the things that we look for are, a deep water port. Can we have that hub status, in that if you look at, again, looking back in history, the iron ore industry started, and they were shipping iron ore round on Handymax sized vessels. That's sort of 35,000 ton dead weight bulk vessels. Now they ship it round on Cape-sized vessels, which are 100,000 ton deadweight vessels. But for that, you need massive ships and you need massive deep water ports to be able to get them in there. So if we wanted to future-proof where we were putting the refinery, I said, well, we need to be in a very deep water port, because there's no doubt that in time we'll be shipping more spodumene in bigger vessels, because bigger vessels means less vessels and therefore less carbon. And so, you know, it's all about having those abilities to look into the future about what's going to be needed, but then also looking into the past. Where we've put the refinery and chose to put the refinery is in a very historical UK manufacturing site. So a lot of UK petrochemical industry is based around Teesside and Middlesbrough in the northeast. So the workforce is there. There's generations of families that have grown up that understand what it's like to work in the process industry, which when it comes to training competent staff that we can have as part of the journey, it's second to none. If you look at that compared to saying, oh, well, let's put the refinery next to the mine site in Australia, well, you haven't got a workforce that lives by the mine site in Australia. You will have to pay a workforce 5 times what you have to pay them if they were going to be in the northeast of England to go and live by the mine site in Australia. So it becomes very costly. You have to get these skills in from other places. There is, you know, and it's a tremendous task to get the skills, the correct skills. So we're very lucky in that we have an amazing skill set in Teesside, and it's a fantastic place for people to live if they're interested in this kind of growing green energy industries. So another big thing is on the green industries. It's where we are in Teesside has one of the most emerging hydrogen economies in the country and in Europe. So if we want to drive the carbon in our refinery down, we don't want to be doing what China is doing, which is burning coal or natural gas in their big rotary kilns. It's actually to be burning hydrogen. So there is no carbon footprint to that. And I just mentioned the process actually, because that'll bring it to life. We start off with heating. So we heat it to 1200 degrees using a big rotary kiln. So the spodumene will come in off the ships, as you can see this diagram or the picture at the top. Material will be transported off the ships straight into these rotary kilns, which are the cylindrical things at the top of the page. That'll then go into the second stage, which is the hydrometallurgy. This is an alkali-based process as opposed to an acid-based process, which is used in China. This means that our byproduct is an inert aluminium silicate or an alcime sand. And this is, well, it's got a few reuse potentials which feed into the green economy, which basically it's a green construction material. So that in itself is a fantastic new exciting market that we will be building out as well. As I say, the byproduct of the acid-based process that they use in China is a nasty sulfate waste that you actually need to pay to get rid of because it's tremendously bad for the environment. And then after the hydrometallurgy stage, we do a crystallization stage, and that's it. It comes out as lithium hydroxide or lithium carbonate. We do have the flexibility to produce a certain amount of lithium carbonate and lithium hydroxide as well. But at the moment, we feel that the European market is best placed to receive lithium hydroxide with the battery chemistries that they're favouring at the moment. So we've covered lots of the routes. Oh, of course, one of the great things is something that we've just received on the site. So we've got this 52-acre site up right on Teesport near Middlesbrough, and we've just received planning permission. So it's about, we're supported by the UK government through various different grants. We've got a favourable local constituency and council that see the value in having this major energy infrastructure project in Teesside. And we haven't come across any barriers there, and we've been welcomed with open arms. So it's a great location, second to none, I would say, in Europe. So when we are looking for instance, the second refinery site, it's tough because we've got a really, really good template here of what's possible when you've got the right site. It's very important in doing it. Okay, so let me just to say how we bring this together. Of course, our partners are very integral to this, and who we select as partners. Because what you want to do is you want to take, just like when building a team, you want to take people's experiences in other industries or in the lithium industry and apply them to this project to be able to get the best result. So we've got Trafigura on as one of our supply chain partners. They're one of the world's largest private commodity companies. Societe Generale, the lead financial advisor, they have raised money for it will help raise money for the Northvolt project and a lot of other large-scale green energy infrastructure projects. So they're very well attuned to the kind of investors that would be looking to invest in a project like this. Obviously, our landlord, PD Ports, a really great company whose values are aligned to ours, which makes things a lot easier in dealing with partners. WSP, who it was Wood Group, but WSP took them over. They're our owner's engineers. So what they do is they sit on our side of the fence and let us know that what our engineers are actually doing and our feed integrators are doing is going to be the correct work. So they almost check our homework for us. So our technology partner is Metso Autotech. They're a Finnish-based company. They've been working, Metso and Autotech as separate companies have been working for about 100 years in mineral processing in this area. They merged a few years ago, and they'll be the ones implementing the technology, training our staff in the first instance, and making sure that we commission successfully off the ground in good time. So, and then ultimately our feed engineer is Worley. So these guys have been part of building lithium refineries in other areas of the world. There's 2 of the lithium refineries that have been built in Australia at the moment that are yet really to come online and be commissioned, and Worley's helped with them. So they've got a lot of lessons learned about how we can delay our commissioning of our plant as well. So just a quick one on timelines, which I haven't really gone through. We've just secured the planning permission for the site, and we've just done a fundraise, which came off really well in this current market. We are now looking to do the design of the plant over the next 12 months. But what we'll also be doing is building a optimization plant. So an optimization plant is a smaller plant that will allow us to train staff quickly and also help us iron out any commissioning problems on small scale, so that when we do build the £700 million refinery, we won't have as long a commissioning time. And this pays dividends in that a small optimization plant is a small investment when it comes to the fact that if you can't commission one of these plants, every day that you don't produce from the plant is almost another day of lost revenues that you could be making. So it's all about trying to get that refinery up and running as fast as possible. And so to do that, building a mini refinery to train staff on initially, and to make sure that we are very slick at doing that commissioning is really important. It builds confidence with investors, it builds confidence with suppliers. And so we'll be looking to put a spade in the ground in the next 12 months to do that. Now, if you've got any questions, we'll go through them. But before we do that, if I have inspired you in any way, we have actually got a few opportunities as far as jobs are coming up, and we thought it'd be great to be able to just share with you these on this call, because there are lots of people on this call that potentially would be interested in joining an organization like this and being part of it. So Aimee, do you want to verbalize some of those?
Yeah, definitely. We have 4 roles, which the recruitment will be starting very soon for. So if you are interested, please do contact us at supply@greenlithium.co.uk. Those roles are a program director role, supporting with the operations and leading the program management. We also have a procurement manager, which is procuring all of the chemicals for Green Lithium and helping us to finalize commercial agreements. We have a plant operations manager. So as we move into build, as Richard's mentioned, in the next 12 months, we'll need a physical plant manager and also a process engineer. So we already have teams in place for all of these areas, but these are gaps within those teams that we're aiming to fill. So hopefully those roles will be available and coming live on our website as well soon, I imagine. But in that period, if you feel that you could be suitable, please do send your CV through. And we've had some more questions coming through on the chat around cost per ton, and some questions, unfortunately, around margin, which we can't really go into right now. But where we can delve into perhaps a little bit deeper is around skills within Teesside. That's been quite a hot topic on the chat there. What are the existing skills, Richard? We know that Teesside's got a strong heritage in chemicals. We've had ICI here, Johnson Matthey's here. There's already battery chemistry, cathode chemistry already, anode development in the area. So a lot of transitionable skills potentially into the lithium industry. The team are asking particularly, is there any niche areas of lithium that we might find challenging?
Yeah, so I would say where the real sort of skill comes in this is that there's not that many lithium refineries being built outside of China. So, and the way that you get good at this is by doing. So the more, that this is why Worley and our partners that have worked on building lithium refineries, that's why their knowledge, and it's almost like what not to do's are so important. So it's lessons learning, and it's the big mistakes that have been made that we want to avoid, and avoid them in plenty of time, and hence the scale up plant and things like that. So I would say that those are the niche ones that the sort of real lithium expertise and commissioning based ones. They're the ones that we really want to try and leverage our partners to be able to help us with. But I think there's massive opportunity within the refinery itself. It's going to be 1,000 people in construction and 250 employees working on it once operational, and a lot of it will be automated. So the jobs in the refinery will be very much green careers, that you will not be, it'll be very few people moving material around. That'll all be automated, or so these will be almost tech-based jobs in the processing sector. So there are, Aimee's an exact testament to the quality of staff in Teesside. So Aimee's local to Teesside. She worked for Johnson Matthey and Cummings prior to joining Green Lithium. And these are massive companies in the chemical industry that to have on the doorstep is just phenomenal for a project like this. So we're hoping to tap in and retrain local workforce where we can, but also we want to tap into European and UK and global expertise in research and development, and also there's a lot. I realize there's a lot of people on the call that have got a lot of academic battery experience. I'd encourage them to you know, the amazing thing about academia that I get quite a lot from UK universities is that there's doing the research, and then there's converting that into a commercialized structure. And I think that a lot of academics would love the journey of taking a great idea and seeing it being commercialized. It's that extra bit of icing on the cake when it comes to these things. And so I'd encourage any academics on the call to reach out, have a word with us, see what opportunities we might have in the future, or just follow the story, because it really is an amazing feeling to be able to help deliver this, and you're in the perfect situation with the green energy transition happening now. It's time to get in on the ground floor, really. So I'll answer more questions. I won't just babble on.
Thanks, Richard. That's fabulous. The Simon from Thermo Fisher is just asking about testing and certifying lithium hydroxide. Definitely for ourselves, we'll have our own in-house laboratories, and we'll also be using a third-party company as well to help with that, defining our quality standards and also making sure that we're hitting those limitations in the industry to be battery grade. So I hope that answers your question, Simon, but if you're still on, if you can jump in if there's anything more there.
No, that's great. Thanks for the answer.
No worries. And Elvis Shoko, more than happy to reach out afterwards. I've seen your private message there. I'm more than happy to keep chatting. And Franz, you've mentioned about synergies with other recycling plants and battery recycling within the UK and possibly in Europe. We are definitely open to those talks, aren't we, Richard? We're continually talking to recycling companies, and we've been more than happy to chat to Alchemy or Biotech after the call if you message myself or Richard direct.
Absolutely. Please just get in touch. And that goes to anybody on the call. If you see an opportunity to work with us, then get in touch. We want to hear, and you've got the opportunity to do it.
And I guess last of all, thank you, everyone. I think we have to leave the breakout rooms now, but that has been incredibly helpful, and I hope it has been too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Good luck with the
Thank
project.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are back in the main stage, and people are coming back and are completely confused what they're doing here. And because the 40 minutes as well just flew by super quickly. I think I'm not the only one who just feels like that. Cool. I see a lot of smiling faces, so I think that means that probably there was a successful event. Cool. So thanks for everyone who's here, who made it through. Maybe let's as well give a round of applause for our topic leaders who kind of make that event as well possible. Without everyone involved, we could as well not organize it. And we would like to try out something new. I hope we're not gonna catch anyone off guard, but it would be cool if every topic leader could give like a 30-second recap, like that everyone somehow learns a bit something new, even though they didn't manage maybe to participate in their session. So let's try that out. Yeah, Julia, are you still here? Could you give like a very short recap of your session?
It was all over the place, I would say. So we started with the basics of impedance spectroscopy and then got basically stuck on the validity criteria of impedance spectroscopy and how to probably read a Nyquist plot and what to be mindful of and how to do experiments and how to, as quickly as possible, figure out whether what I measured was valid. Very exciting, very nice.
Well, thank you for that. Wojciech.
Yeah, so we discuss what we can do, what we should do in the current situation. We focus on like legislation, is it up to date, or what new legislation should we introduce, how stop those fires happening, and what will be the future. So we have some few words about, for example, sodium ion, if it's any solution for the future. Yeah, pretty much that's it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Rose or Piotr?
Thanks, Matthias. In our case, the discussion revolved around sharing data between the stakeholders of the reverse logistics chain. So there were some business ideas as well, how to build startups using the data from EV batteries and building a solution that will help in repurposing of the batteries. That was quite an important topic, as well as how different new chemistries of batteries will influence the recycling of the recycling processes. So we hope to have the chance to discuss it further because we didn't have enough time.
Yeah, big topic, I guess. Cool, thank you for that. Aimee and Richard.
Yeah, so we had a great chat. We looked at the journey so far in building the UK's first large-scale lithium refinery, looking at what the problem is, or I like to call it the opportunity, looking at our business model and how we apply that, the advantage of how we're looking to do it in a low carbon way, how location plays a massive part in driving down that carbon footprint of the refinery, how we're picking our partners, and of course skills and people. So there was a lot of questions about what type of people we want to be working at the refinery, how much material is going to be recycled that we're going to be putting into the refinery, and then we ended really about actually announcing a couple of job opportunities that we've currently got. So if you are interested, please check out Green Lithium's website, where we've got at least 5 jobs up and running at the moment. So if you want to be part of the future and the UK's first lithium refinery, you might be able to have that.
I'm on a call.
Nice. Who doesn't want to be part of the future? Perfect. Katarina, do you want to give us a short recap?